Imagine this, it's 2027. You're scrolling through property listings on your phone, and there it is. The exact house you looked at just 2 years ago. Back in 2025, it was £300,000. Today, the seller wants £400,000. Same bricks, same postcode, same house. But now, you're facing an extra £100,000 price tag, or worse, you're completely priced out. This is the nightmare keeping thousands of buyers awake right now. Some believe we're in a once-in-a-decade buying window, the kind of rare opportunity that could set you up for life. Others are convinced that a historic crash is coming in 2027, and buying now would be financial suicide. So what's the truth? And more importantly, what should you do? Should you buy now, or should you wait for the crash everyone's whispering about? That's what we're going to unpack today. But before we get to the predictions, let's rewind the clock. Because what's been happening in the UK property market over the past 18 months sets the stage for everything that comes next. In 2024, I had countless investors tell me the same thing. Labour will tank the market. It's over. People were panicking. Some even rushed to sell their houses, desperate to get out before the supposed crash. But here's what actually happened. Instead of a collapse, we saw steady, healthy growth. On average, house prices rose by 4.7%. That means if you bought a £300,000 property last year, you've already banked around £14,000 in capital growth. And that doesn't even include rental income. The broader economy, stuttering along, yes. GDP growth barely scraping 0.1 to 0.5% per quarter. But confidence hasn't disappeared. In fact, the FTSE 100 jumped nearly 6% in 2024. Banks like NatWest and Barclays posted record-breaking profits, proving that there's plenty of money in circulation. Meanwhile, government policy has been reshaping the playing field. The rental reform bill is forcing landlords to adapt, while changes to the planning system promise to shake up supply. The result is a market more complex than anyone predicted. Not the crash that doomsayers were selling, but not a runaway boom either. And then came 2025, a year that, on paper, should have made buying easier than ever. Except, of course, reality wasn't that simple. The Bank of England dropped its base rate to 4.5%. In theory, this should have been fantastic news. Cheaper borrowing, lower monthly repayments. Buyers should have been celebrating, but banks weren't handing out mortgages like party favours. Instead, they got stricter. Some lenders started demanding 35% deposits. Stress tests became brutal. Rental yields were scrutinised with a magnifying glass. And in certain cases, if a property looked even slightly overpriced, banks simply refused to lend at all. Yet despite tighter lending, something else shifted. For the first time in years, buyers had leverage. Why? Because supply surged. Developers, investors and homeowners flooded the market with listings. Rightmove even reported its busiest Boxing Day ever for new properties hitting the platform. Suddenly, sellers were competing for buyers, not the other way around. Discounts, incentives, flexibility. This was what many had been waiting for. But here's the catch. Even with more choice, analysts still expect prices to rise another 3% in 2025. Not a dramatic surge, but enough to make you wonder whether waiting is really worth it. So what's really driving this? It's bigger than politics or 1 year's interest rate changes. To understand where we're heading, we need to talk about a cycle that's been repeating itself for centuries. Economist Fred Harrison is practically a legend in property circles. Why? Because he predicted the 2008 crash years before it happened. He also called the crash in 1992 and the one in 1974. How? By studying something called the 18-year property cycle, a repeating pattern that has shaped the housing market for over 300 years. Here's how it works. After every crash, the market takes about 4 years to recover. Banks start lending again, but cautiously. Confidence creeps back in. Then comes a 6 to 7 year phase of steady growth. Prices climb predictably, investors make consistent returns, and property feels safe again. But around year 9 or 10, the market wobbles. Not a full crash, just a stumble, what Harrison called the mid-cycle dip. Buyers get cautious, prices flatten, confidence shakes. Then comes the sprint. After the dip, demand surges and prices rise aggressively. This is where greed takes over. Everyone rushes in, convinced property will only ever go up. And then, the crash. A brutal correction that wipes out years of gains in a matter of months. Sound familiar? It should. After the 2008 crash, recovery began around 2012. Growth carried through until the mid-cycle dip in 2019. Then, despite COVID, the market roared ahead in 2020-2025. If Harrison's model holds, we're now in the sprint phase, the last gasp before the fall. And if history repeats, 2027 will be the year prices tumble, possibly 20–30% in the hardest hit areas. But does that mean you should wait? Not necessarily, because it all depends on the kind of investor you are. If you're a long-term investor, timing doesn't matter nearly as much as you think. Let's say you buy in 2025 for £300,000. The crash hits in 2027 and your property's value drops 20%. On paper, you've lost £60,000. Painful, yes. But fast forward to 2035 and that same property could easily be worth £400,000 or more. Meanwhile, tenants have been covering your mortgage. Inflation has been eroding the real value of your debt. You've weathered the storm. For you, time in the market matters more than timing the market. Now flip it. If you're a short-term investor, a flipper, a speculator, timing is everything. Harrison's model suggests prices might rise another 15% before the crash. So you could, in theory, buy at £300k, sell at £345k, and pocket the difference. But here's the danger. Almost nobody gets the timing exactly right. If the crash comes earlier than you expect, you're left holding an overpriced property as demand collapses. So yes, long-term versus short-term changes everything. But either way, waiting for 2027 comes with its own hidden risks. Crashes don't just lower prices, they change the rules of the game. In a downturn, banks slam the brakes on lending. Mortgage approvals become rare. Cash buyers dominate the market, snapping up bargains while ordinary buyers are left on the sidelines. So yes, you might get that £300,000 house for £240,000 in 2027. But only if you can pay cash or somehow convince a nervous lender to take a chance on you. For most people, the opportunity of buying at the bottom never materialises. That's why waiting isn't always the safer play. Because the very moment you think you've won, the system shifts the goalposts. Now, let's be clear. The 18-year cycle has been frighteningly accurate. But cycles aren't prophecies, they're patterns, and patterns can be broken. Global shocks, wars, pandemics, energy crises, tech revolutions can all derail the timeline. Government decisions, like sudden tax reforms or emergency rate cuts, can either delay or accelerate the cycle. And sometimes, pure psychology plays the biggest role. Fear and greed move markets more than charts ever will. So yes, Harrison may be right again. But if we've learned anything over the past decade, it's that the unexpected always finds a way to show up. So how do you protect yourself? Forget obsessing over exact timing. Start with strategy. What's your goal? Is it cash flow from rentals? Long-term wealth from capital growth? A quick flip for short-term profit? What's your financial position? Do you have reserves for void periods? Enough deposit to survive stricter lending? The patience to hold for a decade if things go south? Think in decades, not months. If you're in this game for the long haul, almost every crash looks like a blip in hindsight. The people who panicked during COVID, waiting for prices to collapse, missed out on one of the fastest booms in history. Fear cost them more than any overpriced property ever could. But let's be honest, not all locations are equal. Some cities are already overvalued. with weak job markets, declining populations, or rental demand that just doesn't stack up. Buy there, and no cycle in the world will save you. In fact, there are several UK cities I would personally avoid in 2025, areas where the fundamentals are weak and the short and long-term growth just doesn't look good. And that's exactly what I'll be breaking down in my next video. The specific cities you should steer clear of if you're serious about building wealth. So, should you buy now or wait? The truth is, there's no single right answer. If you're in it for the long term, buying now can still make sense. If you're flipping, caution is key. If you're waiting for 2027, be prepared with cash and patience. But the worst decision, doing nothing out of fear. Because while the cycle is powerful, the one thing it never forgives is hesitation. So the question isn't really, should I buy now or later? The question is, what's my strategy and am I ready to execute it? And if you want to know the UK cities that could wreck your investment in 2025, make sure you watch this video next, because knowing where not to buy is just as important as knowing where to strike.